Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do start, let's give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. Now, it's been 2 months since the last part, so let me give you guys a brief rundown as to everything, so you don't have to play catch up. Izuku Midori and his crew are at Water 7. They're here because their ship was swallowed by a Sea King, and they were able to get out. The Sea King threw up. Their ship was damaged and barely managed to get here to Water 7. Deku wants to find a proper shipwright because they need repairs. And Asui, she might be able to do repairs, but she's not a proper shipwright. Someone who knows their craft will be able to keep their ship fortified, strong, and above sea level. At the very least. A few feet, give or take. Now, Deku, he wants to find something like this for a few reasons. Along with that, getting information at Water 7 could be helpful. And the group, they split up. Deku went out to find a shipwright, along with possibly finding any leads to All for One. Ask around and see what you can find. That's all he's got. Find anything about this crazy man. And the team, they split. We currently do have Deku and Ochako. These two have gone their own way to find information. Momo, Lillian, and Jiro, they went into a small group themselves. But Jiro, she betrayed Momo and Lillian, and she is a CP9 agent. She abducted them. And while that's happening, we also do have Asui, who stayed with the ship. There's Kendo, Mina, and Denki, who all went out for shopping, for medicine, and for food. There is Kirishima, who is looking for Bakugo. And there's Bakugo, who pulled a fucking Zoro. I think we all know what that means. He might be in a different anime, who knows. Anyways, with that being said, I believe that does have everybody accounted for. And currently, let's pick up with Izuku. Izuku, he's got a lot running through his mind, though things have been very interesting. Currently, him bringing his right hand up and blasting out a small light bubble. It flying through the air as Deku he's a step onto it. Him currently gonna leap off and through the air. Right now him bring up his other hand. And gonna do the exact same thing. Deku jumping from bubble to bubble as he's a stand on it momentarily and then gonna leap off. Right now Deku going to fly through the air. And Izuku does have a lot running through his mind. He's gonna find a proper shipwright. Find anything. All he knows is right now, they need somebody who can help them. He could probably try and teach Kendo what to do, but with her abilities and the fact that she doesn't have proper use of them yet, she could probably destroy the ship. Tsurugi's ice is keeping it together. And that's an issue. He's gone out to try and solve some sort of vendetta. He went out somewhere. He's been here to Water 7 before. He knows the area, but Izuku, he knows people. With his training and skills as a hitman, he knows where they congregate, knows the way they act. And that does mean quite a bit. As, right now, Izuku, he does land onto the ground. Him looking around and seeing the shipyard. As he does, try to ask anybody for information. And some people, they do talk to him. Others avoid him. He's got that look about him, the way he carries himself. And it is quite apparent. Though, whenever people do start to realize who exactly this man is, they understand one thing. He's got people. He has got power. And he is not somebody they really want to fuck with. And Izuku, whenever he does get turned away by some people, there are others who are willing to help him out. Though, being a shipwright on his crew, it's not for them. I mean, they're pretty sure he'd kill them. Or throw them out at sea. Feed them to a Sea King. Use them as bait. Or a meat shield. They don't really know. They just know that he's not somebody to mess with. And that it does currently pass through Deku's mind. As right now Deku, he has a turn. Him going to walk down the street. And it does mean quite a bit. Him trying to think. He thinks about heading to a bar, though he can head back to the ship quickly and come back. Make somebody an offer they can't refuse. He still does have the rumble fruit. So, if he does give them an offer, be his shipwright in exchange for a devil fruit, that's a pretty hefty deal. I mean, yeah, they'd abandon their job and essentially serve him. But he'd give them one hell of a signing bonus. And that it does get through his mind. He already wanted to give the fruit to Denki, but Denki is sorta untrustworthy. There's the possibility that he can give it to Jiro, but the fact that she's a stowaway on his vessel, his ship, he's not too sure of. They can trust her. She has been a little helpful, but even then, he doesn't want to just give them trust. They have to earn it. Denki, he's essentially their chef. And Deku, he's a lot happier they actually have somebody assigned to cooking their meals. I mean, he's not a bad cook. Then again, he did know how to cook. Boa didn't. Though he did like teaching her. And it does not pass through his mind. Currently, him smiling as he'll walk onto his ship. Asui gonna just sit there and turn. Right now, her going to actually sit on her cards for a second and express to Izuku if he may have found anybody. Her gonna stand, and he does ask her exactly if there's anything wrong. No, no one's been here. They've all just sort of been out. No trouble, no Marines, no nothing. Though it is a bit more concerning. Where are we going after this? I'm pretty sure we might head to Sabioti. Though right now we have to get this thing put back into pieces, or one piece, before we do continue. Right, right. That would be nice. Do we have the resources yet? No, but I'll pay for them. Once we have that said and done, if I get a shipwright, they'll do it for free. I just have to give them their signing bonus. And that's in my cabin. Right. Her staring at Deku, as currently he does a turn and makes his way downstairs. Him with a lot going through his mind. And currently Izuku, he is trying to focus on the idea of this guy who attacked. The guy who attacked them back on Drum Island. The flying person who killed Toga. I mean, it's certainly something. He knows he's going in the right direction, but he doesn't know. If he leaves and goes to the new world, I mean, it could mean quite a lot, right? He's heard mention of it, but getting there is different from what he knows. There's ways to go there. Some of them are dangerous. Some of them aren't. That's all he's got. Though it does mean quite a bit. That running through his mind. And Deku, he currently does it open his door and step into the room. And he does the walk over and begin to search his cabin. Him finding the fruit and heading back out. And currently Izuku, as he's to walk off the ship, there is where someone they do to see him. Them going to stand there as Deku, he does a stop. Him turning his head and looking around. As he's... That's odd. Something's a bit off. No. They're at Water 7. There's obviously going to be eyes on him. He's one of the biggest bounties here. Then again, no one here could really face him. go against him? It's certainly an idea, a laughable one at that. Though they probably are thinking of robbing him. Maybe they think he's just an imposter, impersonator. He pities the fool who thinks that. Though letting them live, it could be something to do. Ask them for information, and if they don't, be a little bit more forceful. I mean, they stepped to him, so they deserve it. Then again, he didn't have any ill will towards them. They just wanted his money. He wanted the information. They could make a bit of a deal if they don't piss him off. And that it does go through his mind. Izuku, currently, going to walk into a bar, as if people are going to turn their heads and see the man currently sitting there. Him going to stand there with his jacket on. Him going to bring his hands up and step in, expressing to many of them. Alright, he's assuming some people here know who he is. He went down to the shipyard and wanted to talk to quite a lot of them, though some people did not want to hear his offer. He'll make things quite clear. He's here to offer somebody a spot on his crew because he's in need of a shipwright. The pay will be good, hours might be shit, but they'll definitely make a name for themselves. And it will be good, because he might be able to give them a favor. Do all of them understand this? Now, some people do get a look around, and they stare at him. He's the guy who's worth almost... Holy shit. It passed into some of their minds. And Deku, he currently to walk over and sit down at the bar. Him going to bring his hand up and express to the bartender. Him going to bring his hand down with some cash, sliding it over. That he wants the bottle, and he wants them to leave it here. Because he's thirsty. The man looking at the cash. Him going to bring his hand out and grab it. And Deku, we're going to bring his hand down. Him bring up two fingers and tapping on the man's hand. Him looking back up towards Deku as he'll go to express. Keep the change. And the man, he does his what nod. As he does, we'll quickly grab a glass with ice and bring a bottle back over to Deku. Currently, I'm going to sit there and wait. And some people, they do come walking up. And Izuku, he can tell. He tries to get a read on them, sits down with them and talks with some. And many of them, they're clearly not in it to fix his ship. Some are after reputations. Some, they wish to be better and better pirates. And Izuku, he's not even sure that some of them are proper shipwrights. He looks at their hands. They've got hands that are rough. They got hands that are used for fighting. And Deku, he does try to point out little bits of things. He tries to look at the wear on their hands, the way they carry their bodies, and the way they act, even the way they're dressed and the way some of them are smelling. Since none of them smell like they were down at the shipyard, especially because they don't have the working man's hands. And that, it does mean quite a lot to him. Deku, he sees the way a man does a sit down. Right now him dressed a little cleaner than he should. Though, the shipwrights are all on lunch. There's one actually sitting over there, but he's not too sure if they'd be wanting to talk to him. They've been sitting there and eating and drinking. So hey, he could walk over, give it a shot. I mean, he hasn't even talked about the devil fruit yet. And that, it does mean quite a lot to him. And Izuku, after he does try and make his way over and talk to this person, they do go to shoot him down, since they know his reputation and they don't want to be a part of it. Especially because the world government, they want his head. And Izuku, yeah, he's annoyed, but the person, they do be a little bit more respectful. They decline the offer a lot more politely than just telling him to fuck off. And Izuku, he would try to make them a bit more of an offer. wanting to see their skill, wanting to know what they can do. And the person, they do to leave, since lunch is over. And Deku, here's a turn, watching the girl walk out of the room as her blonde hair, it is tied back. And Izuku, he does a step outside. Currently, him, going to look around. Right. So then, he can try and go back there and see what he can find. Maybe talk to some other people. Actually go there and show off the devil fruit. Though, he's practically just walking in with his pants down. Everyone will stare at him in shock. Though not for the reason he wants them to. Right. Okay. So, Deku going to turn. A woman smashing into him as she's a turn looking right at Deku. Her staring at him a lot more alarmed before she's going to fall to the ground and bring her hands down. Deku turning to her as right now he does to see her. Her climbing back up as she has bruises on her arms. And Deku, the moment he does a stare at her and she has to turn back to him, she just won't back away. Her right now with a busted lip and a bruise up right there on her face. And she does go to turn, climb back to her feet and trying to run off. And Deku, he does stare at that. As currently, he does go to turn around. Him seeing a group of people trying to chase after the woman. One person running by and turning. Them gonna bring their hand out as the moment they're about to shove Deku, they do gonna have the realization. Them turning and tripping over themselves as the other person, they do fall over. The third man going to turn and stare at those two, yelling at them before going to look up towards Deku, a lot more alarmed, and asking him if he knows where that broad went. And Deku, he would get a point. But now him pointing to the alleyway, she didn't run down. And the men, they do also get a nod. Them gonna turn and chase after the woman. As Izuku, he does a turn. Right now him going to walk over as the girl, she's hiding behind a shop. Her poking her head out and looking around. They're not too far behind. She has to stay on the move and keep running. Just keep running. Okay. She's pretty sure that she got away. Why are they chasing you? I don't have time to talk right now. Alright? It's hard to... Her gonna back away. Right now her going out in the open, we're gonna turn around. Her gonna actually jump back forwards, and right now directly into Deku. Him looking down as she does a stare up at him. Him going to take one step backwards and then ask again. Exactly what the hell is she doing? I don't expect you to understand. I've seen your face on a wanted poster. I don't want any trouble, alright? I didn't try to rob you, and this isn't some stunt. Okay? I'm in some trouble, alright? I need to hide. And those guys already messed me up pretty badly. I can tell that. Deku gonna bring his hand into his jacket. Her staring at him quite surprised as Deku hears her pull out a handkerchief. Him holding up and expressing that it's quite rude. In fact, where he was raised, he was taught to not lay his hands on a woman. At least one that could not fight back. Then again, where he was raised, a lot of people have their own moral code. He was just taught a good one. And it was simple. Don't kill unless they try to kill you. Though, that rule was flexible, depending on the cash. You are a pirate. I am, yes. Though I'm also a hitman. Let me ask you a question. They're after you for what reason? Steal cash? Owe them money? Tell me which. Most of the time, it's usually those two. It's neither of those things. Really. They came after me. I don't know what they want from me, but I've heard some pretty nasty rumors, alright? Things that happen, and I don't want to be involved with them. Okay, just I'll act like I didn't see you if I see any Marines, and you can just act like you didn't see me. Did you hurt those guys? No, I didn't. Though I didn't point them in your direction. Th- Thank you. Listen, I have to get home and... Hmm, how about this? I'll give you a bit of a hand. You're not going to be safe. And until I can get you home, how about we make a bit of a deal? A deal? Yes. You and I will go to your house. Then, if possible, I'd like you to tell me a bit about Water 7. Maybe you know a shipwright? Somebody who owes you a favor? I have an offer for them. Anybody who wants to leave Water 7, be on a ship, a vessel to repair? Know anybody like that? I I think I might actually. Though I'm not too sure if I can get into contact with them on short notice. It might take a few days. Hmm. That'll be fine. Deku going to turn. Him bringing his hand up and expressing. Now, how about he escorts her home? For right now, she can tell him a bit more about what's going on with those people, those men. And afterwards, he can take care of that. Of course, if she can convince their friend to join him, that is. Convince somebody. At this point, he's getting a little annoyed. At his vessel, he can't really leave this place until it's repaired. I can possibly find you someone who can repair it, but not be a shipwright. See, that's good. You know if you can get me a good price? I might be able to. They're a good friend of mine. If I tell them that this is a favor, they're willing to take a bit of a pay cut. I don't think it's the pay cut they'll need to worry about. My offer's much better. Way better than any amount of cash I can offer them. Her staring at Deku. And Deku, he will get to watch the somewhat surprised look on her face. Since she knows he's a devil fruit user. He can tell. He can see it. That look in her eyes. The way she's being concerned and worried. It's a little interesting. And Deku, he also watched the woman turn and walk off. Him going to look around and go to get ready. Him beginning to use observation hockey as he does try to focus on the area around him. Him going to walk up to the woman as the two do begin a small journey. Now, while that's currently happening, let us cut over to Momo and Lillian. The two, they have been taken captive, and things are not good. Jiro has betrayed her pirate crew. Well now, if that ain't shit, I don't know what is. Now, Izuku, he is unaware of the situation, as currently there is Jiro. Jiro does just want to stand there. Her going to express a few things, currently walking into the room and seeing Momo awake. Momo going to jump up and try to stand. Her finding that she is wearing restraints, and the moment she does a turn looking at Jiro, she doesn't realize it. Her going to open her palm and trying to create a mirror in her hand. However, she can't. And that it does concern her. As there is Rojiro does bring her hand up, expressing to Momo, going to bend down. Right now, she's wearing sea stone restraints. And they're not going to be coming off for some time. Though, to get the left hand, the right hand, it's good. Izuku will come after her. She does know that, along with her leader. They're going to be quite happy that they caught Momoe Rozu. Not only a living legend, somebody who's a myth, almost like a celestial dragon. Though, there's only one problem with that. The thing that does set her and the dragons apart is the fact that the laws still apply to her. Does she understand that? And Momo, she would have spit directly into Jiro's face. Jiro, going to be annoyed and bring her hand up. Her, right now, going to wipe that off of her eye and stand. We're going to bring her hand back and clocking Momo across the face. And Momo, she just won't sit there. Her, going to actually turn her head and look back at Jiro. Her, going to say one simple little phrase. She's going to kill her. She's going to murder her. She will put her head in the funhouse, through a mirror, and see exactly what happens. In fact, she'll spread her through every single mirror she can find, within her radius, and see exactly what happens whenever she decides to cut them up little by little. She will put her brain somewhere safe. Make sure that it can experience all that little pain. Then, she'll wire her nervous system everywhere, through the ocean. Maybe even let fish pick at it. Let fish eat it. See what happens whenever parasites want to do that. It will be quite the experience. It will be quite Rajiro gonna put a gag directly in Momo's mouth, talking about how she's a sick puppy. Besides, she talks a bit too much. Momo continuing to talk, as she does sound muffled, and Jiro will get a turn, expressing about how Lillian is being kept in a cage in the next room. And if she does comply, she won't have to hurt that fucking cat. Though, it does have restraints as well. They'll only get hurt if they keep fighting. And the only way out of this is to just listen to them. It will be the most painless. I'm going to turn and walk out. As we do cut back to Deku, who is sat down in the woman's house. And she does get actually don't sit there. Her, currently, going to set down a cup of tea and expressing. Her turning to the pot and going to grab it. Her pouring herself some and then turn to the sugar cubes. Her picking one up and putting it directly into her glass. Going to stir it around and set it down in front of Deku. It's very nice that he was able to do that. She's happy that he escorted her home. And Deku, he does look around the area a bit. It's a lovely little place. You'd have to say that she does have a good job. Living here, though, is a bit tricky, though. There could be better places for work. Had somewhere more stable. I mean, he's not sure how it would be to live on this place. With the passage of time, it sinks. I mean, yeah, always building. Going higher and higher and higher. It's gotta be draining, but it's needed. Then again, they can change that, can't they? I mean, there are those plans. And Izuku, he does even try to talk about this. And currently, Caulifla would go to express a few things. Her going to sit there and try to explain how life on Water 7 actually is like. And Izuku, he can see it. Currently him bringing the cup to his lips and taking a sip of the tea. And it does taste rather pleasant. But there's also this bitter aftertaste. I'm going to set it down. And going to actually sit back up, expressing to her. He would have to say, though, as for shipwrights, he's got a bit of a list. Requirements, experience, a few years on the job, and willing to abandon life here. He's got a bit of a journey ahead of him. It's going to be pretty dangerous. So he's looking for somebody who's got the adventurous attitude. No, I do understand. Though, I can look into that. There were a few people down at the shipyard today, but not many of them. A few things have been happening. We're trying to all get prepared for a big storm. Really? Yes, we are. It's gonna be bad, but we'll all be fine. It always passes. And we always get things ready. It's going to be happening very soon, but we still have a lot of time. Okay. They're going to lean forwards, expressing though. He does want at least a bit of a list of names. Can she tell him something? Um, well, do you have a preference? Human, fishman, you know? Not necessarily, no. All that's really needed is the fact that they're good. That's it. Right, right. Oh, what about a hybrid? A hybrid. You know, half fishman, half human. Just saying. You wouldn't mind having one of them on your ship? Why would I? Her staring at Deku, and she does express. It was just a question. I mean, she didn't know if he'd be willing to. One of my crew members are already half fishmen, if that's what you're saying. I have no quarrels towards them, they have no quarrels towards me. In fact, the two might get along fine. Is that your concern? That they'll be isolated? Seeing as just another member on my ship? They wouldn't be. I try to relatively get to know my crew. If I can trust them, I give them that trust. If I can't, I don't. Deku gonna look down, currently bring his hand out and going to try and grab onto the cup. However, his fingers, they're not moving. And Deku, he does try to turn his wrist. Right now, it feeling locked in place as Izuku, he does think for a second. Come on. Oh, God damn it. Paralysis. Deku looking up at the woman, and she does a step at Deku confused for a second. We're now going to try and turn her head as she does gonna fall to the side. And Deku does gonna watch that. Her tumbling down and laying there seemingly dead. As Izuku hears I hear a sound. Right now a man coming to walk up, expressing, Alright, alright. Well, that was certainly something. Though she did play her part relatively well. Another man going to walk over to Deku, bring his hand up and smacks him on the back of his neck. And Deku hears it lock around his neck as he does, gonna look up. Him staring at the window and going to get ready. As he does, you have the man walk around expressing. Him grabbing Deku by the face that is a sea stone necklace around his neck. And he really, really shouldn't try to move. Besides, they had a paralytic agent inside the tea. The teacups at the very least. They weren't sure which one he'd drink from, though it does appear it worked. They coated all of them. He did at the very least. Though he didn't make her aware of that part of the plan. And when I turn his head, as Caulifla, she is trying to get out a long, long string of curses at her ally. And Izuku, he does actually gotta do one thing that does sort of alarm spawn him. Right now him going to stand up and bring his hand up. Right now him going to smack him with a backhand as Spondum isn't flying out of the room. Him crashing through the door as Deku, he does currently gonna turn. And he does begin to move. Right now him trying to be careful. If he does increase blood flow throughout his entire body, it will lock up. Though, okay, Izuku. Paralytic agent. Not poison. Okay. No, if you put too much strain on your heart, it'll be bad. You'll be okay. Though, you need to understand what they did. Adverse effects, everything. Deku moving down the street, and he is doing so very, very slowly. Him bringing his hand up to his neck and trying to actually wrap his fingers around the necklace, or the collar he has on. However, he can't even form a proper fist. He can't even properly close his fingers. And this, it really isn't too good. I don't know Spawndom does lay there, KO'd, as Caulifla is paralyzed on the ground. Her trying to yell for somebody to help her out. However, currently the two, they do both lay there. And Deku, he does stumble his way down the road. A few people seeing him as he is moving. And Deku eventually does get to run into somebody who he does know. And that, right now, would be, let's see, Kirishima. Kirishima, he has to see Deku. Right now, him stumbling his way down the road as Deku, he has a turn. Him smashing onto the ground for a second and trying to catch his breath. Izuku trying not to put strain on his heart. And Kirishima does get a run over. Right now, him seeing Deku sweating like a dog and not in good condition. And right now, Deku does turn his head to Kirishima, telling him to get him back to the ship. He's locking up here. I can't move. You alright? Listen, I'm not good, Kirishima. Captain's orders. Take me back. We might be under attack. Kirishima, understanding, bringing his hand up and grabbing Deku. Him, kind of throwing him over his shoulder and going to turn, going off into a sprint. And this, it's not very good. As Kendo, her and the group, they got back to the ship. And soon afterwards, about 20 minutes or so, Deku and Kirishima come running aboard. Kirishima carrying Deku as he was a yell out for Kendo. And the moment Deku is set down, Kendo does a turn. Her running over and not seeing a single injury on Izuku. Though, it doesn't look very good. Her gonna stand up and turn, running down to her room and trying to find her medical information. Everything she does have on anything related to the subject she is seeing. And this, it does not appear very good. But whenever she does come running back out, Kirishima, he would go to look up, trying to express to her that he was hit with something called a paralytic agent. And Kendo does understand. She can make something that can help counteract that, though it will take her some time. And the crew, they do also sit there, as Bakugo does come walking aboard and staring at the situation. Right now, him with a crate in his hands, and seeing Deku laid out on the ground with his shirt ripped open, and is he interrupting something? Bakugo, he's hurt. Right now, Bakugo gonna turn and set down the crate of rum. And here's a run over, bending down and asking about what the fuck happened, and what did he miss? And Izuku, he does have his eyes look at Bakugo. Bakugo looking at Deku and not seeing a wound, though sort of understanding what this might be. And he does try to ask the question. Kendo going to confirm, as everybody right now, they're almost aboard. Though they do take the head count. They are missing a few people. And this does not seem to be very, very good. They're missing Momo and Lillian, along with Jiro. And the person who attacked Izuku is believed to be a possible pirate. So be somebody on a rival organization. Maybe even somebody who tries to control Water 7. And Deku, he currently is taken to his room to lay down. Him being put in his hammock as he does lay there trying to think. Being told a few things as Kendo does bring up a spoon and put some liquid in Deku's mouth, informing him. It will take some time, but eventually he'll be able to move again. This just needs to circulate throughout his body. And it won't completely counteract everything, but it will begin to alleviate much of what he's feeling. Only time can help fix the rest of that. It needs to be flushed out of his system. And unfortunately, she doesn't have much information to go off of. So an exact cure right now, isn't something that she does have. And Deku, here's a turn looking at her. Him trying to move his lips as he does try to say thanks. But Kendo doesn't hear Deku somewhat mess up that entire word. And she will get somewhat laugh a bit. Her turning and going to leave the room. As right now Deku, he's got a lot going through his head. Since somebody clearly wants to be killed. And Izuku, he just does need to wait. Though, with some of his crew members being taken captive, that's not good. Caulifla. So, that's one person on his shit list. The second person is the one who put a goddamn sea stone collar on his neck. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.